I like to think of it as Burning Man meets the 21st century fiber optic highway. Don't even know what that means yet. We don't have to. It's somewhere in between there, so it's really cool.
I'm just curious what the occupancy is currently upstairs.
I'm sorry.
What your occupancy is on the second floor now?
50%.
About 50%.
We have a lot of room to fill up. And I like to think of it as really being able to house the entire life cycle of businesses. So starting from co-working, kind of tech shop kind of co-working space, to incubator, to accelerator, finally jumping out. And we have the whole life cycle of businesses there. And what I love about this particular business owner is that they don't really care about leases that much. It's very flexible space. If you need to grow, you need to shrink, David is willing to work with you on that. And as those of you who know, for any startup business, real estate is a headache that nobody wants to deal with. And so that's really a fabulous benefit for anyone, for the community, frankly, that we're building here. We will have a question and answer period in just a minute. The last part of this is really about the workers, right? So we're creating these opportunities, these great communities and spaces. What about the workforce? What about the community that's already here? How are they going to engage in this revolution and really become part of it? So Bill Sherwood is this like the first step in trying to figure that out, and he's done this on his own. So I'd like to introduce Bill Sherwood to you. He's a librarian here, and he was able to get a grant that is enabled him to build a millennial academy. So it's for those 20 to 33-year-olds. Once they graduate from high school, they leave. They don't come back to the library, right, until they have kids. So this is an attempt to bring them back in and to really re-engage and make the library relevant for this age group as well. So Bill?
I'm Bill Sherwood. I'm a senior librarian here at San Leandro Library, and just did a presentation about our Millennial Academy. This is a program that we've got aimed at folks that are between the age of 18 and 33. We're doing some innovative programming, everything from programming like Arduino programming, 3D printers, to movie series. It's a great program, so I hope people will join us.
Well, thank you very much for having me. And I appreciate the kind words. I certainly didn't do this all on my own. I have a lot of colleagues here at the library who helped me with this. But let me tell you a little bit how it came about. I was asked to do a presentation, fill in for a colleague at a professional conference, California Library Association's conference last fall. And I said, sure, I'll do this as a favor, no problem. And the person said, well, we'd like you to speak about doing programming for 20-somethings. And I thought, that's interesting because, you know, I've done hundreds of programs at this library. I've been here 11 years. I've done everything from children's programs to adult programs. And we have not targeted that group. So I thought, you know, I'll talk about it, but it's something that I'll really have to research because, like I said, we had not targeted this group. So I did some research and found out there wasn't a lot of literature, library literature, about targeting these 20-somethings, millennials as we call them. And it wasn't discussed much in the literature. And it seemed, as Debbie mentioned, that kind of the expectation is that when a person gets to a certain age, they kind of leave the library, and you know, maybe that's at the college level. And then they get out there and they start having a family. Now they've got kids. Guess what? We need story time. We need those, you know, free picture books. So we come back to the library. So, which is okay, but not really acceptable in my view in terms of just sort of saying, well, that's the way it is and that's the way it will be. So I thought, you know, this is something that we should try to do as a library to see if we can reach out. And so I did my presentation. If you could move on to the next slide. This was a research that I used for my own program, but I came back and I said, well, you know, I want to do some more research, and I found this research study that the Pew Research Center had done. It's from 2010, so it's, you know, about 3 years old now, but it was a great piece of research because it helped me get a handle on who these millennials are. If you could move on to the next slide. So, you know, they define them as American teens and 20-somethings who are making the passage into adulthood at the start of the new millennium. Next slide, please. They are on course to become the most educated generation ever. Now, that's partially because of the demands of a modern knowledge-based economy, but it's also because they're enrolled in all these schools because guess what? Finding a job is really, really difficult. So what do you do when you can't find a job? Continue schooling, which is, you know, that's a good thing. But let's move on to the next slide. So basically, it also found that their entry into the careers into their first careers has been badly set back, of course, by this Great Recession that we've just been through. And again, this is from 2010, so I'm sure things have improved since this, because the economy is seeming to look up. Fully 37% of 18 to 29-year-olds are unemployed or out of the workforce, the highest share among this age group in more than 3 decades. So a fairly bleak picture. Next slide, please. They also indicated that research showed that people who graduate from college in a bad economy really suffer long-term consequences for their careers that can linger as long as 15 years. So next slide, please. So I did this presentation, came back, and I thought, you know, I really want to do something, but there's time, there's money, when are we ever going to be able to do something? And across my computer comes an email from the State Library saying, we would like you to tell us what you would like to do for your community. They call it Pitch an Idea Grant. And I thought, I've got an idea. So we put together the application. And again, this is where I worked with my colleagues. We have a fair number of millennial staff here at the library. We talked about what kind of a program might appeal. And we applied and got a $15,000 grant. So we are right now putting on that program. It's called the Millennial Academy. We started in March, and the grant funding runs through August of this year. If we could move on to the next. So as I mentioned, one of the things that is clear is that, as Debbie mentioned and was clear from the research, we need to do something to help these folks transition into the workforce in a more successful way. I mean, it's where the challenge is where are the jobs, but if we thought if we could fine-tune the ability to find those jobs, that would help. So we partnered with Eden Area One Stop in Hayward, and we've been doing these career development workshops. About a 3-hour workshop, they come and they talk about the basics, you know, that a lot of us know, but they also are updating people's information by telling them in the modern era, you know, with online applications, this is how you have to go about it. The other great thing about partnering, and that's been one of the themes that I've tried to implement in this program, is partnering with local nonprofits and also businesses, is by partnering with the Eden Area One Stop, it links people into a whole set of free resources already funded by federal money. And so they come to the workshop, and if they need further assistance, they can work with Eden Area on resume support, support groups to help encourage that, you know, to keep at it even when it seems difficult. If we can move on to the next slide. The other thing that we wanted to offer as a part of the program, again, developing those skills, is some volunteer opportunities. The library has been, of course, developing its technology. It's all a constant process of developing technology and making technology available to our users. But one of the things that we've implemented recently is an e-book service. You know, you don't have to buy your e-books, you can borrow them from the library. But a lot of people come in, they've got these devices, maybe they got them as a Christmas present, they don't know how to use them. So we've been recruiting millennials to help people use those devices. And so we're going to have a technology drop-in lab. And hopefully we're getting folks trained to help staff this. So some volunteer opportunities. We can move to the next slide. Then this is really where we reach the high-tech point. We have partnered up with a hacker maker space from Emeryville called Ace Monster Toys, and it's been a great collaboration. It's a really good group. I'm working with Anoop Merkara, and he is putting on a couple of workshops. This is the first one that we're doing. We started at the beginning of June. It's learning programming with these little devices. They call them Arduinos. And it's basically programming, but you're doing it with a physical device, so it's very tactile, hands-on. You learn programming like how to control this little device to turn on lights, switches, motors, things like that. So programming is, in my mind, I'm not a programmer, but it's fairly abstract. This makes it tactile and real. And we are developing those job skills. This is something that people can learn and hopefully take with them to some other, to further their education and development on this. I had a small number of spaces because we have to buy the equipment with the grant, but I sold it out, and I've had enough interest that I could have done this workshop twice over. So there's real interest in this community. The next workshop, or excuse me, next slide. It's not all about work and just the serious stuff. We also wanted to try to offer some programs that were just fun. And so we started a board gamers group. And the next meeting is actually this Thursday, so starts at 6:30 right here in this room. So come back for some board game fun. Again, it's just, we're trying to round it out, trying to give people an opportunity to have some fun, connect, network with other people in the community. So this is one element of that. Move on to the next slide, please. We're also going to do a film series that sort of, again, oriented towards our millennial generation. The first one out of the gate is The Social Network. As you can tell probably from the poster, the big thumbs up, the infamous Facebook thumbs up. So again, this is in the line of having some fun. And the idea is we bring folks in here with the fun stuff and then hopefully sell them on some of the more serious stuff. Next slide, please. So we've got a lot of other upcoming programs. Again, in the high tech area, we're going to be doing a 3D printing workshop, and that's going to be really exciting. We've got 3D printers, and we'll be opening up that workshop registration very soon. People will learn how to use these 3D printers to make those 3D items. Pretty incredible. We're going to have a video gamer workshop, not workshop, but activity like the board gamers. We're going to do a beard and mustache competition. This is just, again, it's just the fun of it. And a home brewing workshop. So it's a sort of eclectic program, but all about reaching out to this community and bringing them in, and also making sure they know the library is here. And it's free and available with an incredible group of resources. So thank you.
Thank you, Bill. So as you can see, San Leandro is all about the integration of live, work, and play, a community that was built in an era where everything was very separate from each other. The industrial was over here, the living spaces were over here, the downtown was over here, the retail shopping was over here. It's now, over the years, has started to blend, and now it's become very purposeful. San Leandro by design. Judy, Clark, thank you so much. Derek Lee for helping with registration. Judy, this was her idea several months ago, and as I'm brand new, and what, you want me to put on an event now too? So thank you so much, Judy. Do you want to close it up here for a second?
Thank you. You are all awesome for coming. I hope to see you again in August and then in October for another really awesome series conversation.